Hello, Neuse Little Podcast listeners. Allow me a moment to promote our new official Neuse Little Theater merchandise. This can be bought at any show we have, any show in the 50th season that you come see. You can go up to the merch table and ask the man or lady, and you can get your official NLT merch. Here's what we have. We have hats, toboggans, hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts, and we even have big and tall sizes. Just ask the person and they'll set you right up. We also have blankets, pins, keychains, stickers, tumblers, frosted pint glass, coffee mug, aluminum water bottle, backpack, and tote bags, etc. We have it all. Be sure to check out our special anniversary merchandise, including our t-shirt featuring all the shows of our historic 50th season. Thank you, and thanks for listening. Hello, and welcome to Neuse Little Podcast. This is an audio presentation featuring the backstage antics and stories from your favorite log cabin located on the banks of the Neuse River in Smithfield, North Carolina. Please help us celebrate our 50th anniversary season by purchasing tickets on our website, neuselittletheater.org. Don't forget to like and subscribe on the various podcast platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Now please, enjoy the show. Good evening and welcome to Neuse Little Podcast. Oh man, we got an episode for you tonight. I'm your host, Matt Gore. That's my producer, Mita.
What's up?
I have overbooked this podcast. This is what happens when I can't say no. But we are here for our annual movie podcast, and it's been a very interesting year for movies. We probably will get into spoilers on some of this, so just be forewarned as of right now. Okay. Let me introduce all 58 of our guests. I'm just kidding. All right, but we have, including myself and Mita, we have 7 people total on this podcast, and I'm going to do my best to introduce each one now. So, start off with you.
This is Abby Jordan.
All right, next up.
Keith Davis.
Randall Lawrence-Hurt.
Abby Jordan. Justin Gore.
DH Johnson.
All right. Thank you guys for coming. This should be interesting. Okay. All right. It is that time of year again where the movies from the previous year are nominated for Oscars. Now, very quickly, let's go across all 10 Oscar Best Picture nominations. Yeah, it's 10. It's not 5 anymore. It's 10. And some of these are just gimmies. Like Nickel Boys, I believe, is the only nomination it got is Best Picture.
In screenplay.
In screenplay, excuse me. All right. All right, for Best Picture, we have the aforementioned Nickel Boys, Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Hold It, I'm Still Here, The Substance, and Wicked. Okay, now...
That's a gimme.
What?
No,
Wicked.
Yes. All right, so... We are here. Among us, we've seen almost all the movies. I don't think anybody's seen the Nickel Boys or I'm Still Here, but we'll touch on all 8 of the other movies, as well as some directing and actress and maybe some cinematography noms. But first, let's ease it in there, folks, before we get to the interesting bits. Let's talk about Conclave. So in the Conclave, Ray Fiennes is a cardinal that's in charge of putting together the Conclave. Stanley Tucci plays a cardinal that's very much in line to be Pope. John Lithgow is a cardinal that is scheming his way up the ladder to be Pope. And there's an Italian pope who is more on the conservative side. Stanley Tucci is a more liberal cardinal. So these people are always butting heads about which side is going to go, and it veers off into interesting areas. What did we think about Conclave?
I think the most interesting part of the film is Edward Berger's. Is that right?
Yes.
Berger? Is that how you say it? His direction. I thought he made choosing a pope more exciting than I thought it was going to be.
Edward Berger is a talented director. He's German. He also directed a couple years ago the Netflix presented it, but the remake of All Quiet on the Western Front, which was a very strong movie.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah. And also the score, he's really good with scores. He's really good with music in his movie. The score from All Quiet on the Western Front is very memorable, and that's the same with Conclave. What did you think of it, Abby?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was, like you said, really, really well made, really pretty to look at. Ray Fiennes, I think, did a great job in his role. They really tried to shoehorn a lot of politics in, and not just the twist at the end, but like just in general. That felt clumsy, but I don't blame the director because it's based on a book. So I don't think that they changed anything or twisted anything up. I think it was just a clumsy way of making a message movie without putting flashing lights. Here's the message.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. Anybody want to piggyback on that?
I don't like the Catholics.
There goes 3 listeners.
No, when I read the synopsis of the movie after you told me to watch it, I thought, oh man, this is going to be an Oscar bait movie.
It definitely
And
is.
it is. But it is not a badly done Oscar bait movie. I love the cast. In terms of the movie itself, God, I would want to do anything else other than be one of those people having to vote. Everything about it seems like the most awful pomp and circumstance BS I've ever seen. Oh, we got to burn the notes after. Oh, we got to bar the windows because they can hear what we're saying with lasers. Shut up. But it was interesting to learn those things, and I was fact-checking it as I went, and they are that crazy about those things. So it's interesting. I looked at it like when I listened to podcasts about other religions. It was interesting, but I wouldn't watch it again. I don't need to own it.
Oh, I will say, the other reason I was interested in it is because I listened to Stanley Tucci's memoir last year, What I Ate in a Year, and it opened in January with when he was shooting the film. So it was interesting to hear his experience behind the scenes, working with the other actors, working with that director who he would work with again in a heartbeat, and his experience in Rome and stuff like that, and what he ate while he was doing that.
Yeah,
Yes, that is exactly what the memoir is.
He's kind of a chef, isn't he?
Yeah.
His TikToks are great. Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow, Ray Fiennes, all of them are fantastic.
Oh, and let's not forget the wonderful Isabella Rossellini.
First nomination ever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that stood out to me as kind of odd.
Yeah.
That's a legacy nomination. That's what we call a legacy nomination.
And I'm not so sure it's not going to amount to one of those,
Legacy wins.
Yeah.
what they used to call Olden hasn't won one yet.
Yes.
Awards.
Like Jamie Lee Curtis.
Like Jamie, I was about to say, like Jamie Lee
I
Curtis.
thought she deserved that. That was
She deserved it 2 movies ago, not for that particular movie. No, Isabella Rossellini had the best scene in the movie. She just walks in, throws a grenade at everybody, and
Yeah.
then turns on her heel and leaves. I loved that scene.
Yeah.
It was just like, hey, by the way, he's a lying asshole. Bye. All right.
Did anybody think that Ray Fiennes was playing the long game?
Not at all.
And trying to, despite everything he says, really trying to make himself Pope?
Not at all.
No, and I thought that was the strength about the movie is that he
Yes.
seemed completely sincere the entire time, and the movie didn't try to dive into any. There's a plot twist, but it's not too clever for its own good.
My issue was that I thought he was playing it so, you say playing the long game. I swear I thought he was going to be,
The Pope.
Oh, they wanted us to think that.
and I was like, is he? What?
No,
I had no idea what's going on. And for those who have not seen this film,
Yeah.
you don't really know what's going
Right.
on. You know something's up, but what is it? You
Okay,
know?
well, let's talk about it. Have you seen Conclave, Keith?
No.
Okay.
It's good.
Let's talk about the twist. Spoilers ahead. I personally felt that the final twist in the last 2 minutes of the movie, where it is revealed the person they have just elected as Pope
Was born with
Intersex.
female reproductive organs, but is a male.
Yeah.
And so was
Intersex.
almost
Intersex.
so almost went to get a hysterectomy, but has a crisis of faith because they think about themselves as, well, God made me in this way, so it's not a mistake. Which is heavy-handed as that sounds, it was handled very well.
It was, but I don't think the movie needed that final twist. That's just my.
Sure.
It was enough of a surprise that the dude from Afghanistan is going to be our next pope.
Yeah.
They were setting it up the whole time with like, well, there was this time he spent in Switzerland in this hospital, and we all kind of assume we're led to believe that it was just he might have been depressed or something at a time of his life. Oh, it's for mental health reasons, but it's not. It's for what did you think of the twist, DH?
I turned it off before the end, so I'm just learning about this.
Really?
I'm kidding.
I was like, why?
Good one.
I liked it. I like everything. There's nothing I don't like.
Never seen a bad movie, DH.
I've never seen a bad.
Yeah, you have.
I'm just happy to be out of my house.
Okay, A Complete Unknown. All right, how many people have seen A Complete Unknown? Just me and you,
I
DH.
saw it, yes.
Okay. Briefly, we'll touch on A Complete Unknown. I am a mild Bob Dylan fan, and this movie is perfect for the mild Bob Dylan fan. I think hardcore Bob Dylan fans would have issues with it, and I ended up really enjoying it. Timothy Chalamet is perfectly cast as he's amazing
Really
as
good.
Bob Dylan.
Well, I mean, he had 6 years to prepare, right?
No, James Mangold said, "Hey, that guy looks like Bob Dylan. We need to make a Bob Dylan movie." So,
And he took 6 years to decipher his lyrics.
I mean, thank you,
listening.
COVID and all that. But he used the time wisely, and apparently has nailed it.
Yeah, I mean,
And what's the actress's name that plays Joan Baez?
Monica Barbaro.
Marvelous.
Yes, she played Joan Baez, and I love her because I do like the movie. I do like that the movie acknowledges that Bob Dylan is a frustrating person. She has a great line where you're like, "Bob, you're such an asshole." He's like, "Yeah, I guess."
It's that exchange is very much needed because that's what you get coming away from this film. He's not a very likable guy, and you don't really know anything about him. I don't think they reveal anything new. I don't think fans know him. I don't think we know him. But it's a ride.
Yeah.
And there's great homage to the music in the film. Instead of singing a line or two of a song,
They play the full song.
they let the actors go, which
Really?
are all singing their own songs.
that's fantastic.
The whole.
Edward Norton, terrific.
Oh, I loved Edward Norton as Pete Seeger.
Terrific.
Wonderful performance, and
He's the reason I wanted to see the movie.
Yes.
It's on my list to see.
You didn't want to see it because of Theodore Chevrolet?
God, no. God, I really can't stand him.
Why?
Yeah, why? I think he's talented.
I think he's overrated.
He's extremely overrated.
Oh, he's overrated, but he's talented.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
talented.
Theodore
He's
Chevrolet.
overrated.
Theodore Chalamet.
Yes.
All right.
Tempedia Chardonnay.
The whole movie, before we move on, the whole movie is this crux between folk music and rock and roll.
Yeah.
And it is just the first 5 years of Bob Dylan's career, and Pete Seeger is like his father figure, his mentor. And he's like, "Oh, Bob, before you came along, all of us had little spoons, and we were picking up all this dirt, and we were putting it in this jug, and then with enough people picking up all this dirt, you know what? Maybe we could make a difference. But then you came along. Oh, you have a shovel." So Pete Seeger looks as like God's anointed son of folk. And while Bob Dylan's like, "I don't know, it looks pretty cool to be a rock star." And Pete's like, "No, Bob, it's pure. You should never use an electric instrument at all. You should just be the man up on the stage with a guitar singing from your heart." He's like, "But what about being a rock star?" "No, Bob." And so at the biggest folk festival in the country, the Newport Folk Festival,
He goes electric.
Bob Dylan goes electric. It's this big moment in music history, and it's really funny because Pete the whole time is like, "So Bob, what you gonna play tonight?" And Bob Dylan's like, don't know. And he's like, "You're not going to play any rock and roll, are you? Because that would, betray everything we stand for." He's like, "Maybe." So at the end of the movie, Pete Seeger, the guy is all about peace and love and acceptance. And we're just two human beings talking to each other, friend. Is driven insane by Bob Dylan. He literally takes an axe to the soundboard. They have to hold him back. Like, "No, Pete, no!" Because Bob Dylan, how dare you, is playing an a full electric set at the Newport Folk Festival.
And it seems so insane in the moment it happens, but it happened. That's
Right.
what
Yeah,
they say.
yeah.
He grabbed an axe and lost his mind
Yeah,
about that
yeah.
moment there.
Yeah.
So that's a great scene. That movie, the culmination of the movie, works really well for me. All right, moving on from Complete Unknown. It probably won't win anything, but I enjoyed it. Coming next on the list. All right, here we go.
Here we
All right,
go.
but first, sorry, let's cover the Brutalist.
Okay.
Me and Abby. Anybody else seen the Brutalist?
I don't have enough time.
I know.
Okay, I needed a week.
I have weekend plans.
He builds buildings.
You know what? I think one of the first things I said to Matt after the movie ended was that it didn't feel like it took as long. It did not feel like work to watch that movie.
No.
The afternoon went quickly.
Yes, there's a 15-minute intermission. It's 3 hours and 35 minutes long.
Jesus.
And there's a 15-minute intermission built into the film. That means if you buy it on DVD, it'll still have that same intermission in it.
Yeah, just like Seven
And an
Samurai.
overture.
And an overture.
When it starts.
Not to downgrade the power of that film, but how much time could have been edited out and still have kept its
I thought the first half was
spirit.
phenomenal. I thought the first half was easily the best movie of the year. And then the second half, we got in a little bit in the weeds, and it became more about the wife and less about the relationship between this architect and this patron of his, squeezing every ounce from him.
Right.
So, Adrian Brody is an architect. The Brutalist, I looked it up. The Brutalist is a type of architecture, very stark, very
I mean, it's identified by concrete and
Yes.
like small windows, and I mean, like it's not
Square.
meant to be pretty.
It's
work.
meant to be imposing. It's
It
meant
is
to intimidate
art.
you.
It is art, but it's not. Beauty is not the thing.
Yes. And he's brilliant at it, and he's coming to America, and he's having to work his way up, and through a bunch of trial and error, he meets up with this rich guy. What's his name in the movie? Van Buren.
Yeah, Van Buren.
Sorry, Van Buren. And he's this rich guy and decides, I'm going to be this patron for this brilliant architect. By the way, Adrian Broden's a junkie through the whole movie.
Which they never really address.
No.
It's not plot relevant
No.
that he was a drug user. I'm curious about the biography that all of this came from.
It's fake. He wasn't a real person. It's not
Are you
based.
serious?
It's,
I
yeah, it's
100%
not based on
thought
a real
this was a
person.
real person.
I did too, and I looked into it. It's not based on a real person at all.
Next movie.
Anyways,
My life is a lie.
nothing's real. But anyway, it's a very good movie, and I think it'll win some awards. Cinematography is very striking. Adrian Brody will probably win Best
Okay,
Actor.
see, now this totally changes that little piece of information.
Now the movie
is
isn't
it totally
interesting.
ruined for you?
Yes, pretty much, yes.
It was worth it because you thought he was real?
Yeah. So what they're, he is a Jewish immigrant post World War II. His wife is struggling to get over after they were basically like held in house arrest and stuff like that. And so it's like the idea that this was not a real person. I seriously, you just blew my mind, and now I'm rethinking. Because the other thing that I told Matt after the movie was that I thought it was good, I thought it was well made, I thought it was well acted. But the idea that one of the reviews I had seen before we went was that it would be one of the defining movies of 2024, and I said, I don't know what that says so much about this movie as the state of cinema in America right now.
Well, we should touch on that.
It is not a great movie to me. I think it's well made. I think it's well acted. Now knowing that it's not based on a real person, I'm like, well, what the fuck did I just spend 4 hours?
Is it
like,
loosely
why?
based on bits and pieces of other people's lives? How did he pull that screenplay
I think the
together?
story of the architecture is like there are historical elements to it, but the character himself is completely fictional.
Hilarious.
Okay.
Wow.
Which is one of the things
Wow.
that I admittedly haven't seen it, but one of the things that turned me off about it was, all right, so maybe you need 3.5 hours to tell the story of a real person's life. You don't need 3.5 hours to tell the story a completely fictional one.
Yeah, well, because Guy Pearce takes advantage of him in every way possible. And that's where, essentially the movie goes off a cliff after his wife, after Adrian Brody's wife confronts Van Buren.
Which is the best scene in the movie. I
It
love
is.
that scene.
It was a fantastic scene. It was a fantastic scene. And there's a lot, to be said about the family dynamic between Van Buren and his son and daughter. There's a lot that you can dig into, but the idea that these are not real people, it just makes me question the screenwriter and like, what has gone on in your life? What are you hiding? And I don't want your therapist bill. Holy crap.
It's a little deceptive, too, because it was definitely built like... All the building that I saw didn't explicitly say it was based on a true story or anything, but it is presented like a biopic.
Yes. It was well made. It's well shot.
Now we move on to, I guess, what would be the main event.
Let DH go first. And I
Hold on. Now, this movie, another name for this movie could be called The Unifier. Because Everyone hates this movie except for the people who voted for it and got 14 Academy Award nominations. But
Won the Golden Globe, picture, director. I'm
People on
telling you,
people on the left hate
you
this movie.
guys, I like it.
People on the right hate
Garbage.
I like it. I think it's an unpredictable experience.
Let me say the title. The title of the movie is Amelia Perez. Okay. Keeping in mind, this is a podcast for all. What were your thoughts on Amelia Perez?
Can I go first?
DH, you go first. You said
DH has good things.
I found it rather entertaining, and I found it unpredictable. I thought something interesting always kept happening, in my opinion. I went into this thing. I had no idea the genre that it was, or all of the genres that it is. And it is a lot of genres in there. There's comedy, there's drama, there's suspense, there's musicality.
Where?
Let him finish.
No, I'll let you go. You go, and then I'll interrupt you.
The movie falls apart at the very beginning because
No,
it
it
wants
does
you. It
not.
wants you to sympathize with one of the bosses of the cartel. Which right out the gate, I don't care about the boss of the cartel being happy. I don't care.
Okay.
They feed people to dogs, and that is talked about in the movie.
All right. The plot of Amelia
I'm going to give the plot.
Okay.
The plot is about the boss of the cartel hiring a lawyer to find a doctor that can turn them into a woman and also keep it secret, but do it at the best, top dollar. I don't know why he chooses I don't know why she chooses a lawyer. It doesn't make any sense. There's absolutely no reason for the lawyer to be chosen, but the lawyer's chosen.
Because he's been paying attention to what's going on in that case that it starts with, where she gets a completely guilty man off.
Yeah, but what does that qualify her to find a good doctor?
Well, what kind of person is he? That's what appeals to him. So he says, "This is the girl for me."
If they could have given me something more on that, I would have been. But that's not where my problem lies. My problem lies is this: if you feed people to dogs, I'm not going to sympathize with you needing happiness to feel safe in your own body. Mm-hmm. And then if you manipulate and abuse your wife, I don't care about your happiness. However, that's what the movie wants you to feel. I'm not even going to talk about the musical because the musical aspects are terrible. But I don't have a qualification for that. But my wife, who does, stopped at about 40 minutes and tapped out. She's like, I'm done.
Well, I liked it because they sing worse than I do.
They do sing worse than we do. You're right.
From penis to vagina.
That's a real
Literal
lyric.
lyric.
And
Don't
that's
ruin
made up.
that song.
13
People will love
Academy
that
Award
song.
nominations.
It is, and here's the thing.
And
Two of
it's
those were
probably
songs,
gonna
by the
win.
way.
I hate to
If,
tell
no, I
y'all.
think it's going to sweep.
Yep.
Here's my thing.
No way.
You chose this movie to represent the trans issue? Where the cartel boss wants to be a woman, the one who's fed people to dogs? Mm-hmm. When there exists another movie that came out this year called I Saw the TV Glow, and if you haven't seen it, go see it. But this movie...
How many Oscar nominations?
0.
Ah.
Written and directed by a trans person. This was directed by a white French man who said a bunch of disparaging things about Mexican culture, and the
He's
movie
French.
takes place in Mexico.
He is French.
Wow.
You have
All
to
right.
forgive him.
And
Anyone else go, because
From-
I can go for a while.
my Tamara's half Hispanic, even though she's raised all her life in America. But she has family who is definitely from Mexico, Morelia and Michoacan in that area. And the reason they don't like it is because this is obviously American actors trying to sound Hispanic, and the whole movie's in Spanish, or at least 90%.
Most of it, yeah.
The best.
And they do not have authentic Hispanic accents. They are Americans trying to sound Hispanic, including Zoe Saldana, who is Puerto Rican and Dominican. I looked that up, but that's the issue that the Hispanic culture has with it. Now, I'm not qualified to say why trans people. I guess it's because it
It does not represent them.
it doesn't explore her femininity and other things than I'm just a woman.
No,
It doesn't address the trans issue at
At all.
Really.
That's
entirely a
gimmick.
side. It's
a gimmick.
And I just want to... So I was thinking about this the entire car ride down, so I have to give my little spiel about why I despise this movie. So there were interestingly enough, this year, there were 3 movies that all have a kind of a similar, not a gimmick, a similar plot point. Conclave, The Substance, and Emilia Perez all deal with issues of people who want to have a new body, or in some ways could have a new body. They all address it in different ways. Two of them address it similarly. In Conclave, and that's the twist at the end we've discussed, the person discovers that they could essentially have a different body, and they make the choice not to pursue that because they believe it's not their body to change. They believe there's something more important about them than just their body. Similarly, in The Substance, and spoilers when we get to that, this woman is given a new body for all practical purposes, but she doesn't accept that she is something more than just her body. She refuses to see that both of the bodies she is presented with are hers, and that leads her to some very self-destructive behavior that eventually ends in horror. In both those movies, the central theme is you are more than just the body you have. In Emilia Perez, all that matters to the central character is being in the right body. And the movie tells us that if you switch bodies, all of your past sins are forgiven.
And
you are a brand new person. You do not have to make up for anything that you've done. You're in a different body. It's a kind of like completely amoral shallowness that just completely ruins any point the movie was trying to make.
Wait, isn't there a big plot point about her trying to find redemption through finding people?
Yes, leading people to mass graves that she filled.
Yeah, exactly.
Real fun.
But at no point does she ever admit to any of her crimes. Nope. She persists. And we see at the very end, we see that she hasn't actually changed.
She hasn't.
When her wife, who is tired of living as essentially a hostage in her home, attempts to flee with her children, not knowing that the cartel boss, formerly her husband, is who that person
dead, right?
is.
Yeah,
She thinks she is dead. She attempts to, she calls her lawyer. She's furious. She's threatening to kill them. She clearly has not changed. She is still the same evil cartel boss she was before, just in a different body. There's absolutely no moral power to this movie whatsoever. There's no moral compass at all.
And at the drop of a hat, she abandons her entire identity and starts abusing her ex-wife, and even drops the voice and goes back to like everything about their demeanor changes. And I'm just thinking, like, what is this movie trying to tell? It doesn't make any sense. And then at the end of the movie, spoilers, she, her ex-wife, and her ex-wife's current lover all die and leave the kids with nobody. And
lawyer.
And the lawyer, the kids go to the lawyer, who has the most questionable morals in the movie. It's all about money with them. It makes no sense. And then they parade through the streets like she's a saint. And I mean this with sincerity. That's a dog ending. There is nothing saintly about her.
Honestly, in a lot of ways, and again, we don't want to bring politics into it, but this feels like an extremely right-wing parody of a trans movie.
Yes.
Like, where the trans character is trans, but that doesn't matter. They're evil. That's all that matters.
Yeah, they're evil the whole way through. They ruin everyone's life. Movie ends. It's awful. And here's the thing. All the actors involved are doing great work with that horrible script. And I know that this is the first openly trans actor to get a nomination.
Yep.
Whether you agree with that or not, she did do a fantastic job with that horrible script she was given. And I said this to Randall earlier. There's a scene where she's with her son, and the son obviously doesn't know that used to be the father. And the son's like, "Oh, you smell like my dad."
Which is an issue that many people that are trans have, because the hormones and stuff they take definitely mess with your body odor a lot. So the idea that the son would still smell the father on the transition person's hands would not happen.
See, I didn't know that, so screw the movie even more. I was going to give compliments to that scene, but if they don't like, but that was like the one good scene, just because it kind of is like,
it humanized.
She really does love her kids.
My main issue with it wasn't a very fun movie.
Not at all.
Keith,
Yes.
tell us about Anora.
Anora, it's a good movie. It's about 2 hours, 15 minutes. The first 40 minutes, it's basically like Pretty Woman, pretty much. So there's this romantic aspect. There's a sex worker. Sean Baker is the director of this film. He has directed 3 films. He has titled them the Sex Workers Trilogy, with Tangerine and the Florida Project in the past.
I've seen none of
I
this.
didn't realize that.
Florida Project was a good little movie. It was about a hotel that lives right on the edge of Disney World, and a bunch of poor people live there. So even though they see Disney World every day, they can't go.
That is wildly depressing.
So
And
Sean,
there's a prostitute somewhere in there.
yeah. So Sean always plays around with these tropes, reconditioning fairy tales in a modern day. So there's this rich Russian man, like 21. He's a kid, pretty much, but he's connected with this oligarch family. So they there's this huge hubbub party. He coerces her to kind of be his girlfriend for a week for about $15K, and then they ended up getting married in Vegas, and eventually his family finds out, and then the whole shift of the movie changes for the next 100 minutes. Trying to get an annulment and whatnot.
So it becomes very much, it's like Pretty Woman meets Uncut Gems.
Okay.
The dad, Russian oligarch, is like, no, you will not be marrying this prostitute.
Yeah.
And Honora's weird because the studio isn't overly concerned with people seeing it before award season. I know we're all normies and have to pay for our movies, and we don't get screeners. But
some of us do. If we pay our dues.
I was about to say, if you pay your SAG dues. Honora was a front runner like 2 months ago, so I think it's kind of running out of steam a little bit. And good, it sounds interesting.
It does.
It sounds. What did you hear about it? That it was a little long.
I'd heard from several people whose opinions I trust, and they said that they felt that it gets really long at a certain point, that you could probably cut a half hour out of it.
Yeah, you could probably cut about 15 minutes for the next couple of acts. The first act was done very well, but then after the fact, I kind of wanted to have more anxiety going into the next 100 minutes than I did. I've heard that comparison, Uncut Gems and such, and I was like, okay, I'm excited now, and then I go into it and I was like, well, it's fine. But the very ending of the film, it touches on a very interesting notion about like how she's been in this sex work life, for a long period of time, and the only way that she could show gratitude is in acting and such, and then she just kind of like, has a moment to herself and realizes what she's doing. And it's a very emotionally gratifying scene.
Okay.
Fair enough.
All right, moving on. Let's save the substance for last. Let's talk about Wicked. How many people have seen Wicked?
I saw it.
Okay, I saw it too. You haven't seen Wicked, DH?
I'm afraid of witches.
Not gay enough?
I thought it was really good, and I had never wanted, like, last year, Wicked was at DPAC, and I got free tickets with good seats to go see Wicked. And I gave them the Tamara and said, invite someone else. I could have seen it for free, and I passed on it because it just doesn't, those type of musicals usually don't appeal to me. But I was dragged to the movie, and I gotta say, I should have went to DPAC because I really enjoyed this movie. A lot of interesting discourse around it. There's definitely it's kind of stunted because there's definitely a part 2 coming out next year, and maybe we'll save all our awards juice for that movie. But I liked it. I mean, what did you think about it, Abby? You're probably more well versed with this.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm not. I'm probably going to lose my theater card here, but I have never seen the musical. I'm familiar with the music. I've heard much of the soundtrack, and seen clips online and whatever, but I've never seen the musical. So I thought it was really gorgeous. The costuming, the set design, all of it. Like I expect that it should win some of the tech awards that it's nominated for. I think Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande both did a great job. And like you two, I'm not a fan of Ariana Grande's, but she was perfectly cast.
It was a dream role of hers since she was a child, apparently, and she
Yeah.
was gifted the original
Glinda
wand.
Yeah, from the movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed their performances. I don't think it needed to be 2 movies. That is a complete money grab, and it's
Everything's
bullshit.
a money grab nowadays because everything has to be a franchise.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm trying to.
I thought Jeff Goldblum was the weakest part of this movie, and
Disagree.
I'm not used to saying that about Jeff Goldblum.
He's always Jeff Goldblum.
He's always Jeff Goldblum.
I feel he was miscast in this role. I feel like there's better actors that could have played the wizard.
Disagree.
Does anybody know what the budget was for this film?
The first one was 145 million, and
Oh, okay,
second
that's-
one's around 150 million. Wicked was good. I look forward to seeing the next one. I thought
I will say, as well as they did with their roles, I don't think either of them should win their categories.
no, they won't. They won't.
Like,
The best actress category is a hell of a race.
Yes.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see what happens.
and there's a
there.
lot that there were snubs that were kind of shocking.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, there was
So-
a good 10.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen Challengers?
Yes.
That movie had the score of the year.
Yeah.
And it
Wasn't that
wasn't
weird,
even
not
nominated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Trent Reznor.
Trent
Trent Reznor
man.
and Atticus Ross was
Yeah.
that score made that movie,
Yeah.
and it wasn't even nominated.
I'll have to look that up because I haven't seen it, but Conclave's score
I was
blew
going to
my
say,
mind.
Conclave,
I thought,
the score was amazing.
I thought that would be a
loved
shoe-in
it.
for best score.
Real quick on Wicked, my wife would kill me if I didn't mention it. My wife, when we lived in New York, she saw it on Broadway. She loved it. She went to go see the movie, which she did not want to see, mostly because she didn't think it would live up to expectations. And then there was some things right before the movie came out that Cynthia Erivo said that kind of rubbed her the wrong way. Yeah, that was like her movie of the year. She absolutely adored it. She came home and talked about it for hours and hours. She loved that movie. She can't wait to see part 2.
It's good when that it could live up to the people who are super fans. That it could meet their expectations.
That doesn't happen too often
No.
lately with the
I-
musical
No.
adaptations.
I do think it deserves the nom, but I think there are other movies that may have deserved it more. That being said, just kick off Emilia Perez.
So, like, do you think, like, yeah, it should be nominated, but do you think they're going to let it ride until part 2?
That's what I'm
Yes.
thinking.
Yeah.
Probably.
I also thought that about Dune Part 2, and that is definitely not going to happen.
If Doom Part 2 wins, I'll actually be mad.
How do you say his name?
Denis Villeneuve.
I don't think that's
Is it
right.
Nueve?
Villanueva.
Villeneuve. Thank you.
He wasn't even nominated for Best Director for Dune Part 2, which is
Because it wasn't a very good movie.
It-
And it wasn't very well directed. And it was
It
poorly
was.
acted. And it wasn't a good movie. And it shouldn't have been nominated.
All right, tell us why.
Because it's not a very good movie.
Give me something else. Come on.
Not a single actor in it is actually trying. Every single line is delivered with the same deadpan, I'm very serious in a very serious movie. There's a desert with giant worms, and we're taking it
Timothy
very
Chalamet.
seriously.
You're
it's
telling me-
boring.
You're telling me when they didn't wheel in Christopher Walken
He was awful.
for his 4.5 lines and a blank stare.
He was awful.
And then they wheeled him back out. You telling me that wasn't cinematic gold?
Honestly, the hardest working actor in the entire movie was the giant sandworm.
Okay, but Randall, did it get nominated for Best Sound Design?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
It deserves that.
Sure, the sound was good.
sound was amazing.
Some of the effects were good. Sure, whatever.
No,
if it
when
gets
they-
best special effects, whatever. Best. I think it was nominated for best costume design too. That was
The
sure.
noise it makes when they go to float.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
The
I love
sound is really good.
Costuming should go to Wicked.
It's just
I liked a lot of things it did. I'm not going to say the acting deserves any nominations. It was fine, but when they go to the planet and they have a black sun, so everything's black and white, but it's like really high def black and white. That was really cool. All the fight scenes were great. That being said, all the weird things about the book, like the baby talking like a human, talking like an adult. Like in the book, the baby gets born and it's like, yes, I may be 1 week old, but I talk like a... That stuff not being in the movie, you have no balls. You should have done that. That would have been
the
crazy.
Guild Navigators.
Yeah, the Guild Navigators, which are these like creatures that the way they navigate space is they sit in this spice-filled water tank and they see the future and tell people where to drive so they don't hit asteroids and stuff. No balls.
Let's talk about The Substance.
now here's a good movie.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Can't
All
believe
right.
it got nominated.
I know, isn't that
Yeah,
crazy?
agreed.
It's insane to me.
All right, The Substance is about a aging actress. Oh no, I love that you don't even know quite what she does. An aging person in entertainment. And
Well, they talk about her having an Oscar.
Yeah, they say she won an Oscar. She got a
You know,
star.
she's sort of a Jane Fonda-esque
Yeah,
thing. And
yes.
I can't quite figure out what that show is she does her exercises.
I don't think
So
it matters. I don't
what
think it
that
matters.
Hers is
it
like-
doesn't really.
yeah.
But I'm just
It's
trying
like a
to
dance aerobics.
figure out.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
Hers is like a
it
straight
network,
aerobic show.
or-
Hers is like a straight aerobic show, but then the other girls is like softcore porn.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
But it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
She's a person in entertainment, and she's aging, and she's very much aware of that. And then she stumbles on. We don't even need an explanation to how, but she stumbles on a drug that'll make you younger, but it comes at a price. Now it's been a while since I see it. What were the conditions of
All right, here are
the
the conditions.
substance?
So you take the activator once, and the activator is this green liquid, and when you do that, another you climbs out of your back. Straight up, your back opens, and a younger, more perfect version of you comes out. When that happens, you hook the old you up to a 7-day feed supply. After 7 days,
On a flat, hard, cold surface.
Yes. After the 7 days, you must switch. The way you switch is like a little blood transfusion. Poop! Somehow your consciousness goes back into the other body, and the other one just goes dormant, and then you hook them up to the 7-day feed supply, and you do this forever. You just constantly, 7 days, 7 days, 7 days, and you don't abuse the rules. Spoilers, all the rules get abused.
Because the young version's like, no.
You're still you.
Yeah.
You're still you. You are one person. You are one consciousness.
The younger version
You have
of
to
Demi
respect
Moore
the
is played by
process.
Margaret Qualley.
Respect the balance.
And Margaret Qualley, now that she's young, she's getting everything she wanted. She's getting all the accolades and stuff. She's just like, no, I need more than 7 days. I'm just going to hook this old bag up as long as I can take it. And then eventually, terrible stuff happens.
I will say one thing, and I thought this was a fantastic movie. I thought it was one of the most grotesque body horror movies I've ever seen, which is a compliment.
It is gross.
It is very, very gross. But one of the problems I had with it is that I didn't. One of the key plot points is the fact that you're supposed to remember that both bodies are you. Your consciousness is the same. You're just switching consciousness between bodies. And they didn't do a very good job, to me, of actually persuading you that the person believed that at all. Because they immediately, within a week, start lengthening the amount of time they spend in the younger body as if there's going to be no consequences. And even after they see there are consequences, they keep doing it. Which, to me, meant either this wasn't super well scripted and they didn't do a great job of showing why she's so adamant that there won't be any consequences, or it's not actually one consciousness. They are actually creating a separate person and just telling people that it's the same consciousness.
Interesting.
I like the second one.
It is explained, though. There's a scene where, spoiler alert, break some rules, both of them are awake. Both of them are awake. Yeah. And she tells the younger her flat out, she says, I couldn't do it, I couldn't get rid of you because I hate myself.
Right, but again, I think their memories are switching, but I'm saying, like, even when young her sees... It transfers into her old body, which becomes progressively more deformed as she spends more time in the younger body. She doesn't look at what has happened to her and say, oh, it really is me, and this is unpleasant. I should obey by the rules. She immediately goes back to just living in the young body, as if she doesn't truly grasp that they are, in fact, one person.
Because she looks at that other body, and there's a lot of great scenes of just looking, which I'll give credit to. The younger one looks at the old body and has this look of like, I don't want to go back to that. Yeah. And then the older woman looks at the younger body, and there's this great scene where she's looking at the younger body, and she closes the door, and she just grabs like all the food. Which, by the way, this movie is anti-Quentin Tarantino. All the food looks disgusting, and she just grabs like all the food and just starts eating it. Yeah. And it's because she no longer respects this body. She doesn't care what happens to it. She only cares about that one. She knows. It's that Heisenberg Breaking Bad moment. She knows what she did at the end, and she just doesn't care.
One of the things that I took away from it is, and I was reading up about it, it was written by a woman and I believe directed by her as well. I forget who directed it, but it's very much, she was inspired by the idea of unattainable beauty standards and what do you do as a woman as you're older and you don't feel as in touch with your body, and that is an underlying theme in it. But from my perspective, it has a little bit, it's more interesting if you look at it as a when you're young, the consequences of your decisions on when you're old and how often you don't care about them. You don't even think about them. And you get old and you realize what has happened and you hate your younger self so much for what you did.
You know, that's a really good interpretation.
Yeah,
of that.
I like that a lot.
That's right on the
whenever,
money.
Whenever the younger version takes more than she should from the older body, there's a cost and the older body becomes much older. And it's all leading up to this kind of event, like this event near the end. The last 30 minutes of this movie are wild.
They're metal.
I wish
They launch right from horror to it's still horror, but it's also comedy.
Right.
It's so over the top.
Yes,
It's
I was laughing.
Not meant to be taken seriously.
I thought the
I
ending
loved
was
it.
hilarious.
It was very fun.
The little girl, I was like, oh, that's hilarious. Anyways, so it's all building to this point of like you got this big show, and she's running out of juice, and she doesn't, and her the body's getting older, and she's all this anxiety. Oh, but you got to be ready for your big show. Come on, and then everything just goes to shit. She turns into
a monster.
A boss from a Resident Evil video game.
Yeah.
And
Monstro
my
Assassin.
yes,
My wife made me promise to tell this. She had the best joke during that scene where the monster wakes up, and the monster wakes up, looks at itself, and is like,
Because she wants to go to the show.
Yeah, she wants to go to the show.
Even though she's like a Gillette, she looks like
the Thing or
the Thing,
Slither.
the Thing or the Blob, and it's just like gore and a foot's on her head.
Demi Moore's head is on her back going.
She's throwing up a titty, and it's just
she throws up a titty.
But she can't miss her big show, and she kind of just like puts like a little bow on her head.
No, she stabs an earring into her forehead.
Right
Yeah, an earring right in her forehead.
And my wife made the greatest joke. She's sitting there, we're watching that scene where she's in the mirror and she's like trying to curl one strand of hair and she's putting lipstick on like 5 lips and she's trying to get, and my wife goes, "This is the best get ready with me TikTok I've ever seen." And I died.
And so all the people are waiting in the auditorium. It's here she comes. What's her name?
Monstro Elisasu. Sue is the
Sue.
other.
Like, here comes Sue, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Sue.
I'm not an animal.
Yes, I'm still. No, she literally has a line. It's still me, and it's clearly not still her.
And then she just throws up on the audience for a good 15 minutes. And
She
it's just like,
explodes with blood.
She
It's
explodes
like
the blood out of all the
little
orifices.
kid is just like getting plastered with brains. He's like, ah! And it's just like, yes, queen. Tell them, queen. Let them know, girl. Let them know. And then at the very end, she congeals. She goes out a window or something. She congeals into a ball of goop, and the ball of goop lands on her Hollywood star. And then a second later, a street washer comes along and washes it right off like nothing ever happened.
I cannot
Nice.
believe the Academy saw this movie and they had my mindset of everyone needs to see this. This is
Demi
Best Picture.
Moore has a really good shot of winning Best Actress.
Hope she wins. Hope it wins. It's not going to. Hope it wins.
All right, let's talk about some of the nominations, though. Okay, so let's talk about the Best Actress category. Who's nominated, DH?
I don't have that list, but it's
Here.
Carla Sofia Gascon for Emilia Perez,
She was-
Wait, is that the...
Demi Moore,
That's the main character.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fernanda Torres, and I'm Still Here.
And Mikey Madison and Honora.
And who's left?
Cynthia Ervia for
Oh,
Wicked.
yes. Cynthia Erivo.
All right, so this is a wild category. If you'd asked me 2 months ago who was going to win this, I would have said, oh, it's Mikey Madison's Oscar to lose. But as I said, Honora's kind of run out of steam. Demi Moore won the Golden Globe, and it's the first acting award she's ever won. So I think she has a wonderful. This could also be a legacy win for her.
Yeah.
And Cynthia Ervia, it's not her time yet. She will win an Oscar, but not for this right now. Fernanda Torres,
If she did, wouldn't that put her on an EGOT?
maybe. I don't know.
I think so, yes.
Yeah. So she might
She has a
for
Grammy.
for
right?
that purpose.
Also, if you haven't seen her in the show The Outsider on HBO, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
She's very good in that.
The show falls apart, but she's excellent at
It
it.
does not.
Agreed.
What's
Agreed.
wrong?
By the end, when they're in that cave, like, get out of here.
I guess we can't actually kill the monster, guys.
Okay. Another wild category: performance by an actor in a supporting role. Yura Borisov for Honora, that's the boyfriend.
Yeah.
Kieran Culkin.
Well, actually, he's just one of the gangsters.
Okay.
The boyfriend's someone different.
Okay, sorry about that. All right. Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. He played Roy Cohn. Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown. This is who I would like to win, but he's not going to win. Edward Norton was maybe. Guy
Been
Pearce.
around a long time, and people like his work.
Guy Pearce
long
for The Brutalist is an interesting one because he wasn't nominated for a SAG, he wasn't nominated for a Golden Globe, but he was nominated for an Oscar. But he deserves it because he was
he
great.
was
in the movie.
excellent. He really. I mean, almost more than Adrian Brody's performance.
Yes.
I mean he's just one of those actors that disappears into whatever he's doing.
I think Guy Pearce has had some people in Hollywood must not like him because he has.
This is his first.
Yeah, he's his first nomination. He's been around a long
That's
time.
bananas.
Uh-huh.
I know.
What?
He didn't get it.
Yeah.
He wasn't nominated for Memento.
No,
wasn't
the only,
nominated.
the only nomination Memento received is Best Original Screenplay.
That's a shame.
All right, performance by an actress in a supporting role. Monica Barbaro for Complete Unknown. She's great. She probably won't win. Ariana Grande has a shot. Felicity Jones.
For what?
For The Brutalist. She doesn't show up until the second act, and she's great. But I don't know. I don't know. Isabella Rossellini. She could win as a legacy win.
Yeah.
And the person that will probably win, Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez.
Yeah.
You seem pretty convinced that she's
I'd put $90 on it.
I'm telling you, I think Emilia Perez is going to at least win the 3 of the big ones: actress, supporting, and a Best Picture. Because the tides are at its back, or the wind is at its back.
It does have momentum.
It's got momentum.
I'm going
for
to
God
be-
only knows what reason. It would be historical in many ways, and that's all some people in the Academy seem to care about anymore.
Well,
I'm going to be
Listen.
unbearable if it happens.
That would
Some-
be a nice change.
No, yeah.
Y'all haven't seen anything. Y'all haven't seen anything.
But sometimes the
God,
Academy
that
gets it
was
wrong.
souls.
The Academy gets it wrong, and they get it wrong like
lot.
they're
Shape of Water.
I've heard.
Shape of Water's a great movie.
No, I disagree. I love Shape of Water. It's not better than 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Oh, another movie where what's her name is mad at everybody.
Frances McDermott's
Frances
mad.
McDermott's mad again, guys. Get her an Oscar.
I'm in the minority, but I liked that one a lot. You skipped right over Kieran Culkin in Best
I was
Supporting.
coming back to it.
Okay,
Kieran
and I
Culkin
know somebody wanted to talk. About
I
that.
saw that last night, and then you've seen it
I
also.
saw it last night, too.
Oh yeah,
I saw
A
it.
Real Pain. I
Yeah,
thought
two
it was
nights
good, and you think the
gonna
wrong
win?
person was nominated.
I think two wrong things with it. I thought A Real Pain should have been nominated for Best Picture.
Agreed.
I thought it was that good.
Agreed.
And even if it wasn't, I love Kieran Culkin. He was terrific in this movie, but I think Jesse Eisenberg should have gotten the nomination
He
instead.
was phenomenal.
The
Oh
problem
my
with Kieran
gosh.
Culkin, as good as he is, he's still Kieran Culkin, and he's very much the same character he is in Secession, a little bit toned down, but he's got that super neurotic kind
of
of
playing Jeff
bipolar
Goldblum,
up down. Like he always plays a very similar character, and he does it very, very well, and he's very sympathetic, particularly in this movie. But Jesse Eisenberg's part is so much harder, and I think he delivers on it at least as well. I think Kieran Culkin is the easy nod because it looks so hard, but if you know his other work, it's what he always does. Whereas Jesse Eisenberg was playing someone truly very different from his other roles,
Really?
and nailed it.
Is there something fantastically different from that performance, and like something like Zombieland or
Yes.
Adventureland?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He's so shy. He's uncertain. He's uncomfortable.
I went
he's
back and watched
way
the
more
dinner table
neurotic.
scene twice.
Yeah,
I,
it's beautiful.
It was
What
amazing.
what scene? The dinner
Dinner
scene?
table, yeah.
yeah, where he overshares.
Yeah.
I
The tour de force. It was brilliant. He deserved the nod.
Sorry, DH.
partially agree. I think they both should have been nominated.
I would've been fine with that.
Spoilers. Tell me if you're going to do a spoiler.
I won't.
Okay, we won't.
We won't
spoil
do
this
that.
one.
It's
A Real Pain
fantastic-
is
It's
about.
not. You can't even really spoil the movie. There's no
No.
big twists or anything.
Okay,
It's
I
just a lovely tale of two cousins, two Jewish cousins whose grandmother has just died, who
Oh,
go
no.
to tour Poland and visit some of the places where she grew up in. It's a beautiful movie.
This is all in the IMDb plot synopsis.
Look, he finds out he's a woman because he notices that he doesn't have a penis.
There's a
I will say that
lot of that this year.
And there's electric car.
Matthew only brings me here once a year for a reason.
Yeah, and then he's elected Pope, right?
I do think he did a beautiful job on all three fronts. Jesse Eisenberg, the acting, directing, and the writing.
The man wrote a scene about how beautiful his own feet were.
Yeah,
That
Quentin
is funny.
Tarantino's won a lot of awards for that.
Yeah, true. We can't say much about the feet thing.
But it was. I'm glad he got the writing nod. I do agree that he should have gotten the other two. The
Did
acting.
he get the directing nod?
No.
He didn't?
No,
That's another
exactly.
shame. This
Yeah.
movie was kind of snubbed.
I
little bit.
agree. It's beautiful.
Also, Jesse Eisenberg is a really well established playwright, and a
that's
lot
what
of his
I was gonna
plays
say.
are great.
You know, he based it a little bit on his own familial experience.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Shocking.
So
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, for him to come back from Lex Luthor kind of ruining his career for a little bit, good for him.
I don't know if he's all the way come back. This is a tiny movie, but hopefully he'll get more work as a writer and director.
Yeah.
I think you guys liked it a little bit more than I did. I liked it. And to a certain point, I liked that it was 90 minutes long. It was very easy to watch. Both of the guys give great performances. I don't think Jesse Eisenberg's performance is that dramatically different from his shtick and what he does. But yeah, I don't find the direction particularly amazing either. But it does have several great moments, like the dinner scene. And yes, Kieran Culkin does his Kieran Culkin thing. And he'll
He's
probably
so good at it.
I think he'll probably win.
He'll
the
win.
award,
He'll
yeah.
probably win.
I want
I-
Kieran to win.
And it's not undeserved.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have a problem with that. I agree. I wish that they'd both gotten noms.
Yeah.
All right. So going back to achievement in directing, we have Honora, Sean Baker for Honora, Brady Corbett for The Brutalist, James Mangold for A Complete Unknown, Jacques Audiard, our favorite, for Mila Perez, and Coralie Fargeat. Fargeat. Fargeat?
I think it's for Go.
Okay, for Go. All right. The Substance.
We'll forgo that.
Yeah, we'll just. So I think This is a hard cat. A lot. All right. A lot of these categories are very hard. It's really not a clear-cut year. I don't believe that Emilia Perez will sweep and win all those awards.
I don't think it'll win
this
Best
will be-
Director. I think
I think
Substance
it-
will win Best
Oh,
Director.
you do?
Yeah, I think so
Okay.
too. I think she'll take it.
No, I think The Brutalist
I
will.
think Brady Corbett.
Yeah, I think Brady Colbert will win for The Brutalist because he brought, no matter what, if it's
Yeah.
true or not, he brought in a 3.5-hour movie, shot it in 31 days for $10 million or
Yeah.
$30 million.
And the directors vote for these directors, and I think they'll find that very admirable. They'll
That's
give
true.
that to him.
Yes.
Amelia Perez will take picture.
Okay, best performance by an actor in a leading role. Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, definitely your front runner. Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown. I would like for him to win, but he won't. He'll win an Oscar one day.
Isn't he now like the youngest actor? Like it was a James Dean thing.
Yeah, he's the youngest. He's appeared in like 14 Best Picture nominations before the age of 30. So,
Wow, good
Holy
for
cow.
good for Tim
Yeah.
Pedia Chevrolet.
Timothy Chalamet.
Good for Thomas Chardonnay.
Let's talk about let's talk about Sing Sing a little bit. Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing. Let's use this opportunity to talk about Sing Sing. I have not seen it, but you
It's terrific.
DH
So
and Abby.
good.
Just what a story. You know, that's another thing. I just have really turned on to going to films knowing nothing about.
Yeah,
them,
I
other than
I
just
didn't
the
know anything
general
about it
review.
either.
Can you give us the plot synopsis? I don't know anything
Yeah,
about it.
yeah. You want to do it?
So it's about a gentleman who is in Sing Sing, and
All true story, by the way.
yeah, based on a true story. In fact, the guy that it's based on is in, and they, I think, had there was a hope that he would be nominated for Best Supporting. Did not get the
Yes,
nom.
It should absolutely.
He was
have
fantastic.
happened.
Anyway, it's about using arts in general, but in this particular case, theater, to help.
Rehabilitate.
Rehabilitate.
Yeah,
And-
but survive.
Yeah.
Survive the system while you're in,
Yeah.
and find tools to communicate. And it's just beautifully done. They use a lot of ex-cons who went through the system as supporting actors in this.
Now, this is a spoiler because I didn't know that.
Oh, sorry.
But going into it
Spoiler.
until credits roll and you get to see
Yeah.
Wow.
so and so as so and so, and then they would put their name as their name.
Let's
And
be
I'm like,
clear. These are
oh my.
they're in
gosh.
prison, but they're also playing their real life roles.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. They went through the system, came out, became a part of this film.
There
and-
is some further dramatization in that Domingo Coleman's character is playing a wrongfully convicted person, and to my knowledge, that part of it is added to the screenplay. I think
It is.
I think the gentleman who wrote this was rightfully imprisoned,
They did it.
but found his way through, and he found it through theater. And I mean, as somebody, I think. Well, first off, my personal background, I have done prison ministries in the past with theater, using song and mime and other acting and skits, whatever.
How was it received?
Well, I mean,
And they're starved for entertainment. It would have to be received well.
and not just entertainment, but connection. Like
Yeah.
for people
Yeah.
to I see you, I hear you, and have that moment of so.
You get that one guy in the corner just throwing feces at you.
Empathy
Is
is
that
a
you?
powerful thing.
So,
Justin, get out of here.
So yeah, exactly, and I think, everybody at this table can speak to the power of theater in their own lives.
Given
I
the
think he's
subject-
going to win. This coming year, he is playing Michael Jackson's father in a big film, and the guy is, he's on fire.
He
He's
really is.
choosing great scripts.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, sometimes these biopics are just a little bit, but I think he would have said no to something that sucked.
Yeah.
So I think him playing the father of the Jacksons, it
Could be a
could
hell
be
of a role, yeah.
fascinating for him, and he'll probably win.
Hearing the description of Sing Sing's plot, I'm surprised it wasn't nominated for more because
Me
if
too.
there's one thing theater people love to do, it's nominate themselves for awards.
Well, A24 was in head of distribution for that film, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, they kind of they didn't give it a good release.
And
And
the
they-
Brutalist was A24, right? So they probably put all their money
Brutalist.
behind.
Yes.
That makes sense.
And I think that's why the A24 also turned down The Substance. They
That seems like a really good fit
Yeah,
for them.
That blew my mind when
blew-
I
yeah, it's
read,
insane.
and it's on. Was it Movie?
Movie,
Is the name?
yeah.
I've never heard of that.
They-
blew my mind that they got the rights
A24
to that.
financed that film for $10 million. They sold it for $10 million, and Mubi has made hundreds of $1 million
It's
off that movie.
crazy.
Cool.
Good for them.
Any last Oscar thoughts before we close it out.
I had one thought that I want to see if you guys agree with. I don't know if we do predictions here, but as we know, my front runner for Best Picture is Emilia Perez. My second place most likely is Conclave, and I'll tell you why. And I want to know if you guys saw this movie the same way. I was watching it the entire movie. I thought this felt like a movie that would win Best Picture about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And then the twist of the end happened, and I thought they put that in so it would win Best Picture this year.
Now.
Yeah.
Like now.
So that's why it's my number 2.
Yeah.
I remember, I saw it in theaters, and the person I saw it with, like, when the twist happened, we both laughed. We were both like, of course. Like, why not just
it doesn't
jam
really
it in there?
fit with the rest of the movie. It's
Yeah.
still good, but it doesn't really fit.
So that's a really, to me, like,
I think they were speaking directly to the Catholic Church.
yeah.
I think they were speaking.
Very
I
much
think they were
so.
speaking directly to
I'm
them
with
that.
I'm with Randall.
Yeah,
It
Jack,
felt
yeah.
like it was from a different movie.
It does come out of
Yeah.
left field. There's zero foreshadowing to it.
No, there's
Is it really?
Ray Fiennes' assistant, who's a very good actor whose name I can't remember, keeps mentioning that he went to Switzerland for some medical treatment. We assume.
Oh yeah, you're
There's
right. You're
foreshadowing,
right.
but
You're
the,
right.
the tone of it.
Yeah, the tone of the
is
foreshadowing was not
completely
that.
different.
to
It
throw
made-
you off.
Yeah.
I thought he would just be, somebody that was just had no,
Yeah, an unknown.
Right.
I thought
off
the twist.
street or,
Right. It would be cool. It would be so cool.
escaped.
If it turned out he
Yeah.
wasn't actually a
Institution.
cardinal or something.
I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah,
that-
exactly.
It's a
That's
good.
what
It's
I
a, it's a
thought
good
that's
dark
what-
horse. When I look at the whole list, it's a good dark horse for potential
All right.
second or whatever. I have a question. I did not see Gladiator 2. I was surprised that
You've seen it. Have you seen Gladiator 1?
Yes,
Then you've
I
seen
lo-
Gladiator 2.
Okay.
So you're good.
But
You
isn't that interesting? Like back in
It's
the
bad.
summer and fall, that was going to be the Oscar season.
Right,
Chuck-
exactly.
no way.
I want
it-
full
Denzel was on
that
so many
this was-
shortlists.
It definitely
So-
thought of itself as
Yes.
Best Picture.
I
made.
want full credit
It
that from
was
the word
bad.
go, I talked about how crap this movie was going to be, and from the first trailer, I said it was going to be crap, and everyone's
Yeah.
like, no, it's going to be good. It's going to be at least a good action movie. It failed on every. Pedro Pascal couldn't even save your movie. That's how bad it is.
They wasted Pedro
did.
Pascal.
Yeah.
But
Wasted
that
it.
wasn't even as bad. They truly waste. Oh my God, who was the other?
Paul Mescal?
No.
Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington. They wasted him. They would have had a great movie if they had, frankly, cut pretty much all of Pedro Pascal
Yes.
stuff and also all of the Sun stuff,
Yes.
and just made the movie about Denzel Washington's
No.
quest for revenge, and also not call it Gladiator 2. That could have been a good movie.
stop.
But they were trying to do
Too
3
much.
different movies
Okay.
in one movie,
Ridley
and
Scott.
none of them were good.
Thank you for answering this question. Because, like, you asked if I saw the first one, and to me, the first Gladiator, like, gets better with every viewing.
It's amazing. It's an amazing movie.
Yeah, it's a
great movie.
It's one of the few 10 out of 10
It won
movies.
wanna hear
Best
the-
Picture. I mean,
You want to hear the worst sin? It'll
the-
it'll hurt your soul. Gladiator 2's music sucks.
It does. The score is one of the worst parts.
score's bad.
It's,
It's
literally,
terrible.
it's just the most generic garbage you've ever heard. And I
So-
remember sitting there just like,
Speaking of bad music, Emilia Perez was nominated for two songs.
Two songs.
Two
Which
songs.
ones?
I
Yeah.
dare anyone who has seen that movie to hum 3 notes from
I know.
any song.
Yes.
Any song.
It is very unmemorable when it comes to the music.
I'm really not surprised and surprised by that. But what I'm surprised that was omitted, there's a great song in The Last Showgirl. Anybody see that?
I've heard of it.
It's
The
on
Last
my list
Showgirl
to
was
see.
Pamela Anderson
And Jamie Lee
playing a
Curtis.
showgirl in Vegas during the last closing show.
where was this?
Yeah.
This is,
Never
this
heard
is
of
a
this
huge.
Are you serious? You haven't heard of it?
Was this decade?
Yes.
Yeah.
This year.
Never heard
She
of
was
this movie.
nominated for the Golden Globe. She's nominated for the coming SAG Awards.
Yep.
It's
do
been
not get
talked
those
about
targeted
as a
ads.
massive, and she's marvelous.
How do I know about the crappy Trump movie, but not the Jamie Lee Curtis Pamela Anderson duo?
I don't know. And Jamie Lee Curtis plays her a former showgirl who's
And best friend.
even older than Pamela, so
Yep.
she's waiting tables.
Yep.
Is it a
It's
comedy?
In a way. It's a little bit of mix of anything, but there's a song in it called "Beautiful That Way" that is performed and written by Miley Cyrus, which is a beautiful song. And I've loved that song for weeks before I saw this movie about a week ago. And I forgot the song is in the film, and when the song shows up, it's such a powerful moment. The song is used in such a beautiful, powerful way. How on earth can you not nominate that song? But even though I like Emilia Perez, nominate 2 of those.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
What are the 2 songs?
You
Do
know
we
that they're eliminating the live performances.
Yeah,
of-
and in favor
song.
of honoring LA for the
Trying to
fires
cut
and
it
stuff
under
like
4 hours or something?
Yeah, probably.
Do we know which
Never.
2?
It'll
saying
never
eliminating, one of the most interesting parts of the night. Like,
Yeah.
I think the awards are the
But I don't think you have
part.
interesting songs nominated this year.
The nominations for Best Original Song are El Mal from Amelia Perez,
Mm-hmm.
The Journey from 6888, don't know what that is, Like a Bird from Sing Sing, Mi Camino from Amelia Perez, and Never Too Late from Elton John.
Yeah, that's
What is
the
that?
problem. All the Amelia
It's
Perez
a
songs
documentary.
are Spanish, so I don't
Okay.
know the names.
And I love that song, but that's because I'm an uber Brandy Carlisle fan. And she co-wrote and performed that with Elton John.
Okay.
Oh, so she's a nominee then
Yeah.
because of writing. Oh, that's good. She's
All
great.
right.
And that 6888, that's just Diane Warren's way to getting in another nomination.
This is
Yeah.
her 76th nomination?
Something like
I'm
that,
just
I'm
making
sure.
it up.
You're
But
probably
it's
not.
close.
You're probably not.
She's been nominated for like 20 or so.
Okay, guys. Thank you guys for doing this Oscar podcast. Thank you guys for listening. I thank you to DH Johnson, Justin Gore-Pike, Randall Lawrence-Hurt, Keith Davis, Abby Jordan, Mita Toole for putting up with our nonsense. And this is always fun. This one's more for us folks than it is for y'all. So thank you for indulging us on our nonsense. And we'll have the regularly scheduled podcast for the rest of the year, I promise. All right. Until then, I'm Matt Gore, and that's Neuse Little Podcast. Have a good evening.